We're going to fix that. Well, we're going to hope to fix that so everybody can watch on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and Twitch, and everywhere else. But as always, you can watch, and hopefully you are on the Action Sports Jags 24/7.
All right, we're back up.
Brent Martineau Austen Lane's got himself a little glitch as well. He can't seem to make his way here. Guessing is this is a huge football game for so many people, I think, maybe in the Jags organization. And go to 2-9. You got no signature win. You beat an Indianapolis Colts team that's just okay, and you beat them a lot. And you beat the New England Patriots. And then if you go on a run at the end of the year and you beat the Titans a couple of times, or you beat the Colts again, or you beat the Jets or the Raiders, what are you saying? Like, what are we saying? How do we know if you're any good? Against those teams, you should win those games anyway, even if you're average. So you need a signature win somewhere along the way, I would think. And 2-9 isn't yet done if the Jaguars end up in that way after Sunday, which many people believe. In fact, in a minute or two, we're going to get into just how much people believe that the Jaguars aren't going to get this done, because I put out a tweet yesterday, and the tweet said, how do you match up with the Lions? How do the Jags match up with the Lions? And the answers were, whoa. It was... I didn't expect it, Andy. It's one of those things where I didn't expect so much interaction with that tweet. I was kind of just like throwing something out there like, hey, let's talk a little X's and O's.
Right.
And I got some stuff that was pretty wild in the comments. So
let me ask you this.
Big game. Oh, go ahead.
You know, obviously neither of us or nobody really thought we'd be 2-9, right, with this rough stretch. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we all thought we would be able to finish well with the last 6 games of the season. We maybe be able to go 4-6, maybe even 5-6, right? And on paper, those teams that we're playing still look pretty bad. Those all look like winnable games. But if we couldn't at least steal one in these last 4, has your confidence waned even more for these last 5 or 6, where maybe we're only going to get 2 of them and we finish with 4 wins?
Yeah, that's possible. You know, and the way I look at that is, it's like if you, well, there's a couple ways to look at it. First of all, I think you're right. I think just because the stretch adds up to be look easy on paper, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Nothing's easy for the Jags. Like, we've done this long enough to know right now nothing's easy for the Jags. The way this football team is going, the way this offense has performed, I do not think the Jags are going to go win the last 6 games of the year. I'm not saying that. I did think that if they won a game or 2 in this stretch, I thought they could find their way to winning like 5 out of 6. Right. I thought they could get hot. I just have always believed that they were going to get hot at some point in the season, and it just hasn't materialized for the Jags. And now this stretch was a tough one to get hot, let's be honest. But I didn't see it. 31 yards against Philly in the first half, 143 against last week against Minnesota in the entire game. Like, those are the things that I just didn't see happening for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So your point is right. They're not going to automatically beat the Jets and the Raiders and the Titans and the Colts and other teams. Their most signature win at this stage could be the Houston Texans if they're able to do that. But I think there's a couple other scenarios here that are in play which I find interesting. Everybody wants Shad Khan to make a move with the Jags. We wonder if he will, because he's been patient. He doesn't like doing it in the middle of the season, all this stuff. If they are 2-9 at the break, it's a late bye week. It makes a little bit more sense to do it at this point. And I almost would, if you're going to do it at some time, if that's the way you're thinking, if it's now done, no matter how many you win, 6 games, 7 games, whatever, then you do it now. Because I think it's harder to do it if you do get hot in the last 5 or 6 games and you beat some of these teams that are really not that good. So I don't, from the owner's standpoint, it's almost like, do you make a decision after this one on the future rather than let it play out, let them feel good about themselves, let you feel better about them, how close you were and everything else? Is this the time to make the decision going into the bye week and just be convicted about it? I think there's an interesting setup here in Jags, because here, the only other option, let's just say the Jags do well in the last 6 games, like they play pretty good football. The only other option is to either they lose a couple in December in a row, and then you're like, okay, now it's done because we're closer to the end of the year, or you just wait it out to the end of the year. But if you wait it out to the end of the year, you might feel better about what your football team has done because they won 5 out of 6 to end the season or something. Again, I'm not predicting they do that, but it's certainly in play where the Jaguars are better than a lot of those teams on paper, even though they've struggled to a 2-9 record so far this season.
No, I mean, well, what's up, man? It's good to see you, by the way.
Yeah, good to see you.
It's been an absolutely chaotic experience getting here, but hey,
Did
we're
you
here
hit
now.
the floodwaters?
Oh no! Apparently, I needed a letter to get through like the roadblock of the police. I didn't. Who has a letter in 2024? I'm like,
letter?
you need an email? Yeah, and I didn't have a
Maybe
letter.
you should have had your apology letter.
I mean, maybe that should have been the case. Yeah, but
Did you get harassed or anything?
you know, there was a little. I may have copped a little bit of an attitude because I said like I don't what letter, and then I'm just like, hey, I'm just trying to. I said I was with the media. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that would get me in, and they're like, no, you have to go around. So I went around. So I go around to the other side of the road, and then the cop said, you have to go back to where you came from. I'm like, okay, well, then I'm just going to go around in circles until someone figures it out. Thankfully, a ranking cop came in and, like, squashed the whole thing, and we're all good now, and I'm here. But it is what it is. Welcome. It's chaotic downtown, needless to say. But now getting back to, you know, the Jaguars and how this whole thing's going to shake out. I mean, let's look at the schedule honestly here. They probably won't beat the Lions, right? Or did you haven't been the Lions?
No.
Okay. So you go 2-9. They have what, 7 games left in after that, or 6 games left after that?
Start
right?
with Houston.
So then the best you can do is what? 8-9 on the season.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the best, and that's saying that you win out after the Lions, after the bye week. You win out every single game.
For a team that's lost 14 out of 17.
That's probably not going to happen, right? And I get it. Yeah, it's going to be an easy part of the schedule. You got the Jets, who could be a little bit of a challenge. I mean, you have the Colts right now, who are 4-6, who could be a little bit of a challenge. And don't forget, the Titans, you know, say what you want, but sometimes they have the Jaguars number. So if that's what we're talking about, the best case scenario, and you're still losing, a losing record, how is that acceptable?
Yeah, I don't think it is, but I just, you know how this goes. If they win 5 out of 6 games, I don't care what people are saying now, or if they won 6 games in a row, people are like, man, but we lost. We went 1-6 in those close games, and look how close it was. And Shad's going to say that, and everybody's going to say that. That's why I'm like, are you convicted now? Is it better to do it earlier, even though you haven't in the past if you're Shad Khan? Because, you know, this is too much to overcome no matter what you do overcome at the end of the season with a weak schedule. Because I think it's important to note, if you were to go do that, let's just crazy scenario, Trevor's healthy, you get hot, you win games, you're better than a lot of those teams, you get a nice win over Houston, and you get a nice win up in Nashville, and you finish the year with a nice win in the Colts, and you're beating other teams. Again, this sounds like outlandish. Yeah, the 2-8 football team. But if you do all that, I still would say, what are you hanging your hat on? Like, you're supposed to be very good, not just beat bottom feeder teams. I mean, you really just anybody that was good, you couldn't beat. What does that say about your program and where you're at and how good you thought it was versus how good you really are and your ability to win games against the better teams in the National Football League? I think that's still important to factor in, regardless now of what the record says.
No, and listen, like, and I get, like, if you see Billy Napier right now, right, he got extended because how it's looking down the stretch. Right now, yeah, didn't look that great against Texas. You took Georgia to the limit, so you get a pass. You get another year here. If you were to flip this schedule for the Jaguars right now, and let's say that they got up to a hot start, right, and then towards the end of the year, whatever, they lost, you know, 8 of the last 10. We won't be having this conversation right now. But since we're talking about, okay, it's the easy part of the schedule, maybe they go on a little bit of a winning streak, then you're trying to consider, all right, well, do you keep everybody around? Like, to me, it doesn't matter, because if you flip the schedule, there's no way in hell you're keeping everybody around, right? But since you have the easy part of the schedule towards the back end of the season, that makes it okay? It doesn't. Trying to echo your point a little bit, what it comes down to is, did you beat the teams that were competitive? Did you beat the teams that were going to give you a challenge in terms of going in the playoff? and so far you haven't. Like, honestly, the Titans are probably a worse team than the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're supposed to beat the Titans twice this year. You're supposed to beat the Colts right now, who are in quarterback limbo, and I get sort of the Jaguars, but you're supposed to beat the Colts. You know, the Jets, once again, it's a tough game. I know they're not winning a lot of games, but with roster construction, I think the Jets will be a tough game. And you're supposed to beat the Raiders. Like, expect to beat the Raiders as well. Now, in all those games I just mentioned, will they go on a run and win every single one of those? Probably not. But when you look at it in totality, it doesn't matter if it's the easy part towards the end of the year or the first part of the year. Who you are is who you are. And this team can't beat the team that they're supposed to beat to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, and that will be a lot to weigh. And that's how we got on this topic. And by the way, if you're on Twitter, we're still on YouTube and Facebook and other places. For some reason, Twitter is giving us some fits. We're going to go over to Blue Sky if Twitter's going to continue to do this. Blue Sky's like a new thing, apparently.
Yeah.
I just heard about that in the last week. I thought it was the golf course here in Jacksonville, but I guess that's not it. It's actually a new platform that people are on. But anyway, we'll try to figure out Twitter. It's kicking us off a little bit. But we are on our YouTube channel, of course, on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. So thanks for hanging out with us if you're on any of those platforms. You know, we got into this as how big a game this is for, you know, unfortunately for all these guys. It's a big game again, and you're a 2-touchdown underdog. Like, it feels big for Balky in the front office. It feels big for Doug and the coaching staff, and it feels big for Mac Jones. What does this game mean to Mac Jones? If he does well, is this the game people are going to look at like, hey, look at Baker Mayfield, look at Sam Darnold, look at